Hello guys, I need to correct a couple things that I said in the last video about this here 390. One, it is nowhere near 9.8 to 1 compression ratio. I use the Diamond Piston website to calculate the compression ratio, and like a dummy dumb, I entered in the rod length for a 352, which is a longer rod than 390. I was used to dealing with the rod length for that motor and not for this one. So anyway, that's where the confusion was. It's more like 8.3 to 1, at least with the specs that I measured. These are some 70cc combustion chamber heads, 40 thousandths head gasket. They're 100 thousandths in the hole, 5cc dish or 10cc, one of the two. Yields about 8.3, 8.2 to 1 compression ratio. So it's a pretty low compression motor, which is kind of sucks, not gonna lie. So second thing, I found about 3 sets of spark plugs in that truck whenever I took it apart and was working on it. So it makes sense that this thing was fouling out plugs like crazy, you know. It's not that big of a surprise. It also was doing that when I drove it home. I just hoped that it was, you know, I don't know what it was. It was just blowing dirt out of the exhaust, but apparently it was not. It was just burning oil like crazy, which makes sense. It's got about, you know, it's 30 over, but it measures with at least my calipers about 5 over 30 over. So it's very wore out. The cylinders, based on my measurements took, are in the shape of a V, tall towards the top and skinnier towards the bottom. So it's got really bad taper. It's, you know, not good at all. So we tried a $9 can of Seafoam fix. We poured some in the cylinders, and we're going to see if that fixes some of the smoke. Otherwise, I don't know what to do next. Part of me says go ahead, throw it in the truck. It's going to burn all like crazy. It's okay. Hopefully it'll come out of it one of these days if the rings come free. Otherwise, we'll just need to keep our eyes out for another FE, another block to build from. So we have the pieces to assemble a decent motor. I'm pretty happy with how these heads are. Their valve guides are not worn out that bad. All the valves sealed in, very nice. Intake obviously is good. The crank and rod journals are 10 under, 10 on both of those on the crank. So I think we have parts to make something. We just need a better block. It's already been 30 over. Water jackets are really rusty. It's got 5 thousandths of taper. So it's gonna need another 30 over based on my guess, or maybe less than that, but at the very, very least 20 over to get those cylinder walls cleaned up. So at this point, I'd be scared to even go that much over on this block, just based on the way the water jackets look. So I need another block or another running FE engine that we could just throw in this truck. 360, 390, I don't care. Just something that runs good, doesn't smoke. So I want to address one more thing you guys questioned in my last video, is the lack of oil to these rockers. So on camera, it looked pretty bad. It looked dry, right? It did not look like there was much oil coming out of it. But if you got close in here, there's plenty of oil coming out of those push rod holes, as well as squeaking by underneath those rockers. I was washing it the whole time. There was plenty of oil. I'm actually glad it wasn't spraying oil all over the place, because I just don't think it should do that. To be honest with you, like I said, there was plenty of oil getting everywhere that needed to get oil. Even the springs, you know, all of it was getting covered in oil. So not too worried about that. I don't know if I like just throwing a Holley jet in the hole. That seems kind of tacky, but did it work? I think so, because it was much worse before that. So I also want to say thank you guys for not complaining about my HEI distributor. It is not staying, but it is very good to fire up on the run stand with. Always has worked for me. It's really ugly, but it always has worked for me. So thank you for not complaining about it, but it will not stay on this motor or any motor that I put in that truck. Just want you to know. Anyway, guys, I just want to clarify a couple things for you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I really appreciate all the comments that I get, correcting me, helping me out, helping me learn, and helping you guys learn too. We all learn this together sometimes. So, and we'll see you next time on It'll Run. Well, let the Seafoam sit in there for about 2 days. Moved the engine about, I don't know, two times, and we put a whole can of Seafoam in the cylinders. Let it sit, hoping that it would break the rings free. Well, I don't think it worked.